Hi, I guess you're trying to get to grips with this F-gas consultation, just like the rest of us. My name is Neil Roberts. I'm Technical Sales Director here at Climalife. Let's see if we can talk through this document and help you understand a bit more. So the consultation is on the basis of the need for the government to be compliant with the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol, something which the UK signed up to some years ago, but the current F-gas phase down will not achieve what needs to be achieved later in the phase down. They also want to go further than this to meet their carbon budget as part of the Climate Change Act and the need to reach net zero by 2050. All this combines in this consultation on HFCs, and the consultation itself only applies to the HFC phase down. There are no other elements to it at this stage. That phase down has an accelerated rate over what we were expecting with the previous legislation. We were already expecting a step in 2027, but in this new proposal we're looking at a much bigger step. In fact, it's double the size of the drop to where we are today. That continues well on into the future, post 2030, where the current legislation goes up to, and goes right up to 2048. The jumps we're looking at are down compared to a 2015 baseline, which is where the last legislation started. In 2027, it would be reduced to just 16% of that 2015 level, followed by a further cut 3 years later to just 10%, another 3 years later down to around 7%, and that continues right up to 2048 when we're looking at a 1.4% of the 2015 baseline, a very drastic reduction.
Is this the final regulation?
No, this is a consultation, so it's not the final regulation. We have the opportunity to comment on this. We have the opportunity to say whether we think this is a good idea or not. In fact, DEFRA published more than one scenario. That was their high ambition scenario, and that's the one they prefer, although they did also publish a medium ambition scenario, which could be more achievable by industry. But you have to decide that. Look at it in terms of how your business is, and it's important that you get involved with the consultation and let DEFRA know how you feel about it, and more importantly, if you have any examples or data which helps them to quantify the effect of this phase down, that would be really great.
Phase down proposal different to the EU F-gas regulation?
Yeah, this phase down is really different to the EU one. I mean, there's the same number of steps, if you like. They're roughly at the same time as the EU, but the steps are of a different size. Plus, this regulation only deals with the phase down. It does not deal with any other aspect. The EU legislation has a number of placed on the market bans. That is not in this proposal. Also, there are many changes as well in other areas, but this proposal only focuses on the phase down of HFCs.
Are there any product bans within this proposal?
So the product bans which we've already had in the current legislation still remain in force. They don't change, but there are no new ones proposed in this legislation. DEFRA have said consistently over the consultation period over the last few years that they're not particularly in favour of product bans or application bans in particular. And they've kept to that as it stands. Doesn't mean in the future they won't do that, but currently this consultation does not contain any product or placing on the market bans, so application type bans.
Is there a change to training and certification requirements?
So this consultation does not look at training or certification. As an industry, we've been spending a lot of time asking through trade associations if there's a willingness to change the way we do training and certification, and at the moment the answer to that has been yes, and that information has been communicated to DEFRA, but this proposal does not address that, and the current certification and training will remain in place for the foreseeable future.
How might these proposed changes affect availability of F-gas refrigerants?
If we're expecting a big cut in the quantity of HFCs available, then that potentially is going to have an impact on the availability. It's really important that people choose to go to the low GWP options as quickly as possible. To give you an example or a rough idea, we are looking at anything with more than 1000 GWP, which is the majority of refrigerants used today, are going to be affected by this large cut. It may be that we successfully campaign against this large cap, but if it comes, there will be more than likely be an effect on the availability of the higher GWP. And when we say high GWP, we are talking more than 1,000 GWP. It wasn't that long ago 1,000 GWP was considered low. Now we're talking about these as being higher, so it's really important that people move to the low GWP products as soon as possible to try and avoid any possibility of difficulties with this phase down if it should go ahead.
What low GWP alternatives are available?
So if you go to the Climalife website, you'll find a link there to what we call the pathway document. That shows you all the low GWP products available, and it sets it out in a way by application. So if you're into air conditioning, industrial refrigeration, commercial refrigeration, it sets it out in that way. It shows the refrigerants which are commonly used in those, and then what low GWP replacements are available. That's the best way to find out what products are available. I will say there are very limited options for retrofitting. So most of these very low GWP options will be for new equipment. And that's why it's so important that it's installed today using low GWP products.
Are there any changes to refrigerant recovery, recycling, reclamation or leak checking?
Refrigerant recovery is going to be really, really important as we go forward. We've not seen any detailed data for the UK, but certainly in Europe there's been studies looking at this, and they've already concluded that without the use of reclaimed refrigerant, there won't be enough refrigerant available to keep the existing systems running. So recovering and sending that product back to a company like Climalife who can do reclamation and clean that refrigerant up ready for reuse is going to be very, very difficult to achieve an accelerated phase down as is being proposed, or even the medium ambition one. There's still going to be a difficult one to achieve, and recovered and reclaimed refrigerant is going to be critically important. In terms of whether there's any changes in this proposal, no, there are no changes to the existing ones. It's just carry on the way we are. It's pretty extensive already. It's illegal to vent. You must recover at end of life, and it's really important that we do that properly and we look after the refrigerant and treat it as a valuable asset going into the future.
What happens next? Will there be another opportunity to comment?
No, this is the only opportunity to comment. The consultation period is really short. It opened on the 5th of November, it closes on December the 17th. There's an online portal which DEFRA have set up, and that's their preferred way of communicating with them, although you can do it through email and by post if you really wish to. That online portal allows you to make your comments. Please put in there detailed data on how it will affect you. Don't just say I don't like it. That really won't get anywhere. We need to show DEFRA why this is important, and if you can express it in terms of if there's additional costs involved, if it affects energy efficiency, if it has an impact on jobs, if it has an impact on growth in business. All these things are really key things which DEFRA want to know about how it's going to affect things going forward. So hopefully you understand a little bit more what's in this document. One thing I will say is when you download this, and it's available from the government website, there are a number of other documents, backup documents with a lot of information in them. One of those documents is a spreadsheet with lots of information in it. When you first look at it, it looks really daunting. There's lots of tabs and lots of information. It doesn't really seem to make sense. Please persevere with it. It's arranged by application or technology, as they call it. You can look on the key tab and find your application, your technology, and just go straight to that tab. There are a number of assumptions on there which DEFRA have used to come up with the phase down proposal they've come up with. I've looked at it. There's a lot of omissions, there's a lot of blank boxes, and I believe there's a lot of information in there which is not correct. Please spend the time to look at that document and comment to DEFRA on what you think is wrong, because that is the information this is being based on. And if it's wrong, we could end up with the wrong result in terms of legislation going forward. So please get involved with the consultation. It's 12 questions long. It's not particularly onerous, although if you may need to do a little bit of background work to get the information to put into it, to show how it's going to affect your business. But this is critical. This is going to affect our industry going forward for the next 30 years. So it's really, really important that we get it right now. So please get involved. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact us and we'll help you in any way we can. Thank you very much.